You know what song I'm going to start with? It's going to sound crazy, but I'm going to do Tiptoe Through the Tulips. I do a fun version of that, and I just worked it up after having played it in a long time, and I forgot that I knew it. Hello, good evening. Yeah, man, good to be here.
Cool. Okay. All right.
It's vocalist Barbara Hendricks on this week's Arkansas Songs.
All right, 10 seconds. Here we go. Turn me on.
Ready.
And you are listening to your local public radio station, member supported and commercial free, Red River Radio, a public media service of LSU in Shreveport at 89.9 FM. This is KDAQ, Shreveport, Bossier City. 90.7 FM, KLSA, Alexandria, Pineville. 90.9 FM, KBSA, El Dorado, Camden, Magnolia. 88.9 FM, KLDN, Lufkin, Nacogdoches. And 100.7 FM, KTYK, Overton, Tyler, Kilgore. We're in our spring pledge drive here at Red River Radio. And tonight we have some live music in the Red River Radio studios. Winston Hall is an award-winning piano entertainer based in Shreveport with a rich career spanning music, writing, and community engagement. His journey from self-doubt and stage fright to becoming a celebrated performer is detailed in his memoir, Wrong Note Right, the story of an accidental piano man. Winston, how are you today?
I am doing fantastic. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so glad to have you here. We are streaming live on our YouTube. You can go to youtube.com and look up Red River Radio, and you can find Winston and I on your screen. What are you going to play first for us tonight?
You know what I've had on my mind recently is a song that out of the blue I remembered that I forgot it. Have you ever had a song like that in your head? You knew it and you forgot you knew it?
Yeah.
And I've been singing that song out at the bars and restaurants. And believe it or not, it's a Tiny Tim song called Tiptoe Through the Tulips. And I like to think it's a fun version, so I was going to do my rendition of Tiptoe Through the Tulips.
Okay. Whenever you're ready, we can't wait to hear it.
Goes a little something like this. Well, tiptoe through the window, by the window, that's where I'll be. Come on and tiptoe through the tulips with me. Yeah. Why don't you tiptoe from the garden, by the garden, in the willow tree? Come on and tiptoe through the tulips with me. Knee deep in flowers will stray. We'll keep all those showers away. And if I kiss you in the garden, in the moonlight, will you pardon me? Come on and tiptoe through the tulips with me. kiss you in the garden, in the moonlight, will you pardon me? Come on and tiptoe through the tulips. Why don't you tiptoe through the tulips? Why don't you tiptoe through the tulips with me?
Winston Hall in the Red River Radio Studios with us tonight, playing some good tunes, some great tunes with us until 10 p.m. Hopefully, he'll be able to thank some listeners that call in with their support. Winston, what inspired you to pursue a career in music?
Oh, this is a fun story. By the way, I was grateful to get through that whistling a while ago, because sometimes when there's a lot of pollen in the air and you go to whistle, and the whistle's just not there.
Yeah.
So I was glad to get through that. The piano, it's a long, beautiful story, and I wrote about this in my book, Wrong Note Right. But it always goes back to my mother, my dear sweet mother, who loved the piano, and I had two older sisters, and she made them take piano lessons. And then I came along as the youngest child, and I had to take piano lessons. And I always think it's a really cool story that when my mother was pregnant with me, she liked to sit at the piano and play a little bit. And so think about where my mother's pregnant belly would have been while she was playing the piano, right? Right by the piano. So I was hearing the sounds of the piano before I was even born.
Would you say that that's your earliest memory?
Apparently it's a subconscious memory because I was always hearing the piano. Then when I was born, my sisters were playing the piano, and then I took lessons. Mm-hmm. And in my home, it was just very much an expectation that you would play the piano. And the story is very long and protracted, but I stuck with it long enough because of my mother's insistence that I learned to love it. And early on, I really didn't like it because of the structure of piano lessons.
Yeah.
But thank goodness my mother had the perseverance to push me to stick with it. Because how often does a kid nowadays stick with something for 13 years before they start to like it, right? Like, now it's like 1 year or one baseball season or whatever, and people give up and move on to something else. But my mother, she said, you're not going to do anything else, but you're going to play the piano. And so it wasn't until I was in high school, after starting at 5 years old, that I started to play music with my friends that were kind of just jamming a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
And it was more fun. And so that, for me, was the magic of finally being able to kind of play along to the songs that I loved that got me hooked and made me love playing the piano.
What were some of the biggest challenges you faced when starting out playing?
Well, I'll tell you, I know your listeners can't see the piano, but these were the keys that I played. The white keys.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't touch those. I didn't even know what they were for. And so I would tend to play real simplistically, and everything was in the same key. And little by little, I would, I could add a black note here or there. And then one day, boy, you just end up in the key of B flat, And so musically, that was the biggest challenge, was I would find a song that I would really love, like a Billy Joel or Ray Charles song. And I would get to a part of the song where I would say, I have no idea what that is or how to get to it. And so musically, I would chisel away, at the songs that I didn't understand. And finally I would break through, like punching a hole in a wall. I could figure out the right chord to express what I was feeling in that moment. And all of a sudden the songs start to come together. And then also I would add stage fright. I say stage. I would be in the corner somewhere. My earliest experience that I wrote about was playing at a Chinese restaurant in West Texas. And I knew 9 songs. I was 18 years old. And I was terrified to play. And I don't know what I was doing there. I don't know why I decided to do that. But it was a fear of just really falling on my face, flat on my face. And so I learned this beautiful art, which all artists know, or all musicians know, is the art of just stepping over the roadblock. You make a mistake, you can't stop. You just have to keep going. So musically, I hit something that sounds horrible and you gotta learn to skip right over it, step right over it, and keep rolling. And then, you come back around enough times, you figure out the mistake you made.
Yeah.
So
Winston Hall in our Red River Radio studios tonight. Call in with a contribution of support, 1-800-552-8502. Go online, redriverradio.org, or make a contribution of support on our app. Let us know why you listen. If Winston sounds really great, I think he does, personally. Call in. Let us know. What's next for us?
yeah, well, again, a lot of the listeners can't see where I'm at, but this is a beautiful setting here at Red River Radio. It used to be a church, is my understanding, and so I'm in this what was once a church sanctuary, which is now we'll call it a music sanctuary. And I have this beautiful grand piano, so it's a beautiful setting. And I remember in the old days when we used to play at the other building, and they cleared out a broom closet for me to sit in and play. So this is such a beautiful step up. And I'm just very grateful for this opportunity to play in this beautiful space. And it's made possible by listeners and supporters. So I'm going to do an original tune now. Okay. Now, I got to set the stage for this song. There's a place in Shreveport called Chianti, an old Italian restaurant. I used to play there every Sunday night for years. And I remember playing in there. The setting kind of inspired music because it was dimly lit and it smelled like good Italian food. So we wrote a little song because we played in the green room. Mm-hmm. I know there's a lot of red here at the Red River Radio, but this was the green room on Line Avenue. So this song is called The Green Room Down on Line.
There's a place I go just down the street, people snap their fingers and they tap their feet. I bet $1.25, things will be alright in the green room down on Line. They got a big, big grand do you ought to see. And when I start to play, I can guarantee I'm gonna see some smiles out there tonight in the green room down on Line. My mama said, boy, don't you know you gotta show appreciation for the places you play the night away when they promote inebriation. I got a gig at 6, I got a date at 9, and come tomorrow morning I'll be feeling fine. Lordy, don't you know it'll be alright in the green room down on Line. Oh, here we go. Said, boy, don't you know you gotta show appreciation so you can get your kicks while you play your licks. They promote inebriation. I got a gig at 6, I got a date at 9, and come tomorrow morning I'll be feeling fine. Lordy, don't you know it'll be alright in the green room down on Line. Now listen, now my bassman says he's got the blues, and I said, man, just a shine of your shoes. Grab that bass, we're gonna play tonight in the green room down on Line. My mama said, boy, don't you know you gotta show appreciation for the places you play the night away. Well, they promote inebriation. I got a gig at 6, I got a date at 9, and come tomorrow morning I'll be feeling fine. Lordy, don't you know we're gonna get it right in the green room down on Line. We're in the green room down on Line. We're in the green room down on Line.
Now, Winston, would you say that you have a very unique style of playing the piano?
Oh, I hope I do.
I think that you do. And when I came in there earlier, I didn't see any sheet music. Do you have sheet music in front of you? Are you playing by ear?
No. I look up lyrics every now and then. Now, and that's not to say I have every song memorized that I do. But I just play a lot of music,
Hmm.
and so I tend to memorize the music first, and then I forget all the lyrics. When there's a song that's got, 6 verses or whatever, I really often tend to forget the lyrics.
Do you usually play by ear, or
I
do
do,
you?
yeah, most of the time, yeah. There's some songs. Well, Billy Joel's a good example. We were talking about Billy Joel before we got on the air.
Mhm.
Billy Joel will write songs, and he won't even try to pick a key. I saw an interview where he said he will just pick a chord and then find another chord that goes with that chord.
Mhm.
And so you'll get these Billy Joel bridges where he plays like 8 chords in a row that aren't in any form connected, really. They just sound cool together. So learning songs like that, terribly tricky. The bridge on New York State of Mind is a good example. That's all over the map. Changes keys a couple times. So if it's a really, really tricky song that I'm trying to work through, I will definitely use a chord chart.
Hmm.
But not sheet music. I don't do sheet music. Too much page flipping.
Oh yeah. Can you describe your transition from one local scene to another and how it impacted your work?
You mean each place that I play?
As far as are you from Shreveport, or did you move from Texas?
I moved actually from Nashville.
From Nashville.
I moved from Nashville.
So maybe the difference in the music scene in Nashville and
Yeah.
the music scene here in good old Shreveport.
Well, I'll tell you something, and anybody who knows me, they know I'm an advocate for the Shreveport music scene and the history here because it's off the charts. The music history is very, 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 very profound here. And I don't say that lightly. I mean, we're talking about, and this is stuff most people know, but of course, the Lead Belly, Louisiana Hayride, and things that I talk about all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know that when I moved here. That was the thing. So Nashville to me was Music City. So when I was out there bumping around West Texas, trying to think of where I wanted to go musically, I was like, well, Nashville, of course, right? That's Music City. And I moved up there, and I learned, it taught me that you can be in, to quote Dr. John, the right place at the wrong time or the wrong place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to be in the right place at the right time. And so when I moved to Nashville, this is just my story. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any relationships. Every connection I had was very kind of superficial. Like I just kind of knew people up there. And so, when I got there, I really struggled. And a little bit of naivety, admittedly. Like I just kind of thought, well, you just kick open a door and they pay attention to you. And so the music scene in Nashville was very, I don't know how to say this without sounding like whatever, but if they didn't know you personally, they didn't have a reason to help you, which I totally understand. And so I would be trying to work my way into scenes there musically that they didn't know me. So, you might as well be whoever because it doesn't matter. So what I was really struggling. I did some songwriter sessions and met some people at record publishing companies, and it just didn't pan out in the time frame that I thought it would have.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but here's the beautiful, life is just beautiful, okay? I was struggling in Nashville. I was literally hungry, and didn't have any money, all kinds of financial trouble. And I got a phone call from a friend of mine from college. And guess where he was? Take a wild guess.
I'm going to say that he was up there.
He was in Shreveport.
In Shreveport.
He was in Shreveport, Louisiana, working in the movie business. And he said, this was Matt, my buddy Matt Kime. Shout out Matt. He's in Hawaii right now. He said, hey, listen, what are you doing? And I said, I'm broke, busted, disgusted. He said, I think I might have work for you in Shreveport, Louisiana. And it was in the movie business.
Now, have you ever been here before that?
I don't think I had ever even seen Shreveport.
Mm.
And so, man, this is good stuff. I know we're not playing a lot of music, but it's important to tell this story. Shreveport represented for me hope and a second chance. And so when I hear people kind of bashing on Shreveport, I'll say, well, time out. Like, wait 1 second before you do that. This city represents hope for some of us. And that's what it was for me, because when I left Nashville, I buried my music career. I dug a hole, got the shovel, put my music career in the dirt, and covered it up and said, rest in peace, right?
Right.
And then I came to Shreveport. I worked in films for a while. And then while doing that, I started seeing all these pianos around town, big, beautiful pianos. And a little voice just kind of whispered and said, man, don't give up just yet. Don't give up just yet. And so I went back into the restaurants and the bars, and I started playing a little bit. And it turned into a career. Now, I've been in Shreveport almost 20 years. And that's what I've been doing for almost 20 years, just playing music. And so when I speak about Shreveport and the music scene here, to me, the wonderful musicians that live here and work here, they're playing music for the sake of music. I mean, they're making money, but they just love music. And there's no illusions about being the next whatever. It's like, man, I just love to play music. And if it opens doors, that's fantastic. But that's not the goal. The goal is just to be a great musician. And I encountered that a lot. A lot of my mentors, my musical mentors here, they're just playing. They love having a good time playing music. And then they'll say, oh, by the way, I did this 15 years ago. Or I did that 10 years ago. A lot of guys like Sean Stroop, God rest his soul, who just passed away. He had all these wonderful, amazing musical experiences and collaborations. And the coolest part is they do it from Shreveport. They're like, yeah, I'll come be a part of what you're doing, but when the day's over, I'm coming back to Shreveport. So I'm just saying this. I know my voice is bouncing across the waves right now. Shreveport is a music city. It is a music city. And I'm here to testify to that. Nashville, yeah, it's a music city. But Shreveport, it's got a depth to its soul musically that you cannot fake. It is the deepest, most sincere, most raw, most amazing music soul, this city. And I don't think the people here give themselves enough credit. That's why I shout it from the rooftop. So all that, to answer your question, is there is a sincerity to this music scene. That's the phrase I'm looking for. People who really care about each other, collaborations. I don't, in some places it's a lot of, not here, but in some places you get a lot of competition, trying to one-up people and like outmaneuver people. And and this is my personal experience, that in Shreveport, the music community is really a community. And that just, man, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
And just like Shreveport brought hope for you, Red River Radio, we kind of hone ourselves as, well, we don't kind of, we do. We hone ourselves as the voice of the community.
Yes.
A place where you can come and listen and find something for you. And I feel like everyone that listens to Red River Radio, we're kind of a big family. And we kind of make ourselves a safe space for local artists to, like yourself, to come into our performance studios and play great tunes. And that's just to cater to everyone that listens.
Yes.
So if you love the live music that we have during our pledge drives, or just the jazz that we have at night, or the classical music during the day, call in and make your contribution of support and let us know. 1-800-552-8502. Again, we have Winston Hall in the Red River Radio studios tonight with us until 10 p.m., and he's going to be playing us some great, great music. What's next for us?
Well, I'm going to slow it down here a little bit, and I'm going to do an old tune, one of my favorites, called Scotch and Soda.
Okay.
It goes like this.
Scotch and soda, mud your eyes. Babe, do I feel high? Me oh my, do I feel high? Dry martini, jig of gin. What a spell you've got me in. Me oh my, I feel high. Now people won't believe me. They'll think that I'm just bragging. I could feel the way that I feel and still be on the wagon. All I need is one of your smiles and sunshine of your eyes. Me, oh my, do I feel high? People won't believe me. They'll think that I'm just bragging. I could feel the way that I feel and still be on the wagon. All I need is one of your smiles, sunshine of your eyes. Me, oh my, do I feel higher than a kite can fly? Give me loving, baby, 'cause I feel high.
Winston Hall in our Red River Radio studios. We are in our spring fun drive here at Red River Radio. And Winston, how did your first public performance feel, and what did you learn from it?
Oh, it was terrifying. Well, okay, there's two kinds of public performance. The first is the piano recitals as a kid. And I don't specifically remember the very first performance, but I remember overall every piano recital I had was just abject terror.
Yeah, I can. I've had a couple piano recitals
Yes.
as a child as well, and I can say the same thing.
Well, when I wrote about this in my memoir about learning to play the piano, is if all you can think about is not making a mistake,
You're gonna make a
you're
mistake.
gonna make a mistake, right? That's like when they say, "Don't picture a purple elephant," and then of course in your mind you're picturing a purple elephant. So it's like, don't make a mistake. You'll make a mistake.
Mhm.
And so many of my early performance experiences were just full of mistakes because of the fear. And when you're 6, 7 years old, having a room full of eyeballs on you, just staring at you,
Mhm.
it's very intimidating. And so that was some abject terror that got better as I went older. But I learned one of the most important lessons that I could ever learn about performance is that your nervousness is always directly proportional to how prepared you are. And so then, if you make a mistake, oh well. Like I honestly, in that last song that I played a wrong note, but I just kept rolling, right? So that was the biggest challenge. Was you had to get past all the fear to get to where you could start being creative. That's really hard to do. And then later, when I was playing publicly as a professional, the fears kind of morphed into interactions. If somebody asks for a song that I don't know, or if I start singing a song and forget how it goes and mess up the lyrics. And so, but again, all these were centered around making mistakes.
Yeah.
And so that's what doing it professionally after a while is you learn that you're still going to make mistakes, but you handle mistakes differently.
Yeah.
That's professionalism.
And besides your mom and your sisters, which early mentors or role models had the greatest impact on you? And how did those experiences lead you to become the performer you are today?
Ooh, that's such a good question. Well, there's some very impersonal influences. There's artists you admire that they don't know you. And one of my biggest famous influences was Ray Charles. Is Ray Charles. And stylistically, I imitate him a lot. But what I admired more about Ray Charles was, he's making this beautiful music. But for Ray Charles, 90% of his story what happened to him before he made the music. And my wife Donna, she worked on the Ray Charles movie. She was a costumer on that movie.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the piano you're playing on, Ray Charles played on.
Yes, I learned that last time. It was in the back line of a casino here in Shreveport, and Ray played it. Ray's hands touched this piano. I'm going to channel Ray Charles.
Yeah.
But my wife met him, and I said, well, what was he like? And she said, well, listen, when Ray Charles walked into a room, Ray Charles walked into a room. He had an aura and a presence about him. And I think a lot of that had to do with what he overcame. And when the movie finally came out, and if you read about Ray Charles at all, he rode a bus by himself from Florida to Seattle when he was a teenager. His mom had already passed away, so he's basically an orphan. And the guy just decides to go to Seattle because the music scene was good. He was black in America in the early half of the 20th century. He couldn't see, and he was a teenager. Now you tell me, how much courage do you have to have? What's the size of your heart, right?
Yeah.
To do that. And then he sits down and creates the music that we know and love him for. So, to me, musical influences are as much about the story of the person as it is the music that they're making. So Ray Charles, and I grew up listening mostly to country music, right? Rural Central Texas in the 1980s.
Yeah.
But in the middle of that, on the radio, what am I hearing? I'm hearing, there was 7 Spanish angels, right? Little Ray Charles and Willie Nelson. So really big Ray Charles fan, for sure.
And what artistic aspirations do you have for let's say, the next decade of your career?
You know what? Man, you're asking some fantastic questions. I just turned 43 years old, and the way you see the world at 43 from 23 is just it's incredible.
Yeah.
The paradigm shift in your head about what you do and why you do it. I'm realizing now the importance of just pushing yourself artistically and letting that open doors, as opposed to what I did in Nashville, which was to kick open the doors and then let the art through after that. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Like it totally switched. Like now, you just do what you do, and do it well, and do it consistently, and then the phone rings one day, and you get the cool calls, and that's kind of what's happened to me. Is I got asked to write the score for the Shreveport Little Theater documentary. I wrote a film score, which was not on my radar, and I got the phone call for that, which is a great documentary, by the way. Shout out to Shreveport Little Theater and Fairfield Studios. And it was a very fun, creative process. We just sat down at a piano kind of like this, and we had the film in front of us and was able to put it together. So that's kind of where I'm at artistically, is I like to be surprised. And so far, my career has not disappointed me. It's always some... I got a call a couple years ago from the Tourism Bureau, Shreveport, and if you could pick a place on the map as a country where Shreveport Tourist Bureau would send you, the last place on my radar was Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Really?
But they were doing a satellite convention that was, it was kind of setting the stage for the big convention in Shreveport that was happening later that year. And they said, we want you to go up to this satellite convention and put on a show and talk about Shreveport's music history and get them all excited about coming to Shreveport. So I got to go to Cheyenne, Wyoming because of my piano playing. So it's just kind of like, you know, you just don't know. And I found that if you limit what you think your career could be in your head, then that's never a good thing.
So where is the craziest place you've been that you've played?
I played, this is actually a funny story. I've told this story before, but I was on a cruise one time on the Rhine River, somewhere between Germany and France.
Did you play the piano bar?
Well, I wasn't supposed to. I was on vacation.
Oh, okay.
And this little guy, I'm his friend on Facebook still, Emil Vladimirov. He was playing the piano, and he found out that I was a professional piano player. And he said, do you want to play a song? I said, I'd love to, you know, on a riverboat, right, on the Rhine River. And he heard me play one song. This is a 100% true story. And he smiled, and he got up, and he walked off. and he said he was going to the bar to get a drink. And he didn't come back for like an hour.
Wow.
And so I thought, okay, well, I was going to play one song, but now it's like I'm in Piano Man gear, so I'll just work. So there we were floating down the Rhine River, and I just played the piano for, it was at least an hour. And then he finally came back around later. I said, oh, I see what this is. He saw a chance to take a night off of work.
Yeah, should have paid you.
Yeah, but that was fun. And so that happened. Yeah, you find yourself I was in Costa Rica on my own honeymoon one time, and there was a piano at some little place up in the mountains, and the tour guide challenged and says, anybody know how to play the piano? And I said, well, I kind of do.
Kind of.
So I sat down in the mountains of Costa Rica and played it. So really kind of around the world, really.
That's cool. Do you ever find yourself tempted? Like if you're just on vacation, oh, there's a piano there. Maybe I shouldn't play it.
Well, actually, this just happened. I was in New Orleans for Mardi Gras, and we ate lunch in downtown, and there was a piano sitting there right by our table, you know, broad daylight. And I thought, and I was with my wife and her family, and so they just said, hey, can you play the piano? And they said, oh, yeah, sure. So I sat down and played for, 2 or 3 or 4 songs. And I found that what happens when there's a piano in public is the vast majority of people can't play it. And so they end up doing the, and making noise or whatever. So when you sit down and you can actually play, I think they're pleasantly surprised. So far I haven't been booted off any pianos, but if it's there and it's a beautiful day and nobody's complaining, I'll sit and play.
Okay. Winston Hall in our Red River Radio studios tonight. Call in with a donation of support, and maybe, just maybe, if he knows how to play a song that you would like to hear, maybe he'll just do that. But you have to make a contribution of support first so we can know, and we would thank you. If you want to see Winston live, you can go online to our YouTube channel at Red River Radio and see this live stream. Winston, what do you have next for us?
Well, I was playing this song during the sound check earlier. I had "When the Saints Go Marching In" stuck in my head, and so what I'm going to do tonight is something I've never done before.
Okay.
Never even tried it, but I'm going to do it half tempo and then speed it up, just right in the middle, just to do something different.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. Okay.
All right.
If I play a wrong note, y'all just forgive me. Okay, I'll keep going.
Perfect.
All right. It goes like this.
Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Lord, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in. Oh, when the stars refuse to shine. Oh, when the stars refuse to shine. Yeah. Lord, I want to be in that number. When the stars refuse to when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Lord, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in. Oh, when the stars refuse to shine. Oh, when the stars refuse to shine. Lord, I want to be in that number. When the stars refuse to shine. Said when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Lord, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching. When the saints go marching. When the saints go marching in.
You're listening to Red River Radio. I'm Kiara Lafitte, and I'm here with Winston Hall. He's in our performance studios tonight during our spring pledge drive. He'll be here until 10 o'clock. And as he plays the piano tonight, just let the music remind you why we're all here. Because great art brings us together. It sparks conversation, and it fuels our community spirit. And here at Red River Radio, we believe that every note played and every story shared on air is made possible by listeners just like you. Your support isn't just a donation. It's an investment in keeping our public media vibrant, free, and deeply connected to our local culture. And Winston, I have a question for you.
Okay.
How do you continue to stay motivated when creating new music?
Well, I'll tell you something. One of the most important things I learned musically is there's a switch in your head that flips when you realize that you're a professional. And anybody that has a job knows that moment when they say, you know what, I'm actually good at this because it's what I do, right? And so when you play music for a living, and there's so many professional musicians in this town alone, and many of them are my friends, there is an element, there's a side of creativity that is clocking in and clocking out. But here's what's happened. This is what's really cool that happens. For example, let's say it's a Saturday afternoon. I'm getting ready to go out to play music. And maybe I'm not 100% feeling the music. I have the same routine getting ready. And if you'll notice tonight, if you're watching the live stream, I'm wearing a suit. I'm on the radio wearing a suit. But because the suit to me is kind of like, it's like
Your uniform.
Yeah, it's a uniform, or like Superman stepping into the phone booth. It's like, it's time to do this.
Yeah.
And I swear to you, my brain and my spirit and my body know when I'm going through the routine of getting ready to go play music. I had some throat issues years ago, so there's always hot tea involved. And there's always, and then, by the way, the sun's always going down when this happens, right? So when you are professional and you're really systematic and dedicated and committed to doing something all the time, you train your own brain and own body and own spirit to be ready to make music. And it took me a while to learn that. You know, I would walk out the door sometimes early in my career, not feeling it, and I would say, "Oh, I'm just not feeling it tonight." You know, and I walk in and sit on a place. "Oh, I'm just not feeling it tonight."
Well, at what moment did it click for you? Like, oh, it doesn't matter if I mess up a couple of notes because I'm a professional.
You know, it took a couple of years early on. I'm telling you, I would play 200 nights a year at one point or more. And it took, I want to say, a few years of that.
That's 165 free nights for you.
That's right. I know, right? What am I doing? But it took maybe I want to say a couple of years of that, where it fell into this really deeply entrenched routine of making music, and at the same time of day, and using the same routine. And then within that, there's variables, right? There's the weather and the time of year and the people that you see. But somewhere in the middle of that, and I would argue that, you know, I know Rob's looking at me, sound man's looking at me. You know, he's wrapping cables in his subconscious, in his sleep. Like there's just little parts of your brain, and this is out beyond music. This is like radio or anything, is that if you do it and you do it really, really well, like an accountant clicking on the calculator, it's like your brain does the work for you. Now, that's not to say that it's mindless. You're not performing mindlessly, but your brain is doing the work to get you ready to play mindlessly, right? So I don't have to sit and consciously think, okay, I have to get ready to play now. It's like I go through this process and my brain falls into line. And then you sit down and maybe you're playing, this is something Ray Charles said, is maybe you're playing the same song again, but you can play it a little different than you played it the last 10,000 times.
Yeah.
And so you're still getting the exercise, the mental exercise of stretching your brain, but within the framework of doing the same thing, if that makes any sense.
1-800-552-8502. That's the number that you can call to make your contribution of support right now. And let Winston know that he's doing a great job. And when you do that, you'll get in on all of our drawings that we have to offer. Our first drawing will be this Friday, March 21st at 7 o'clock p.m. It's for a 2-night stay at the it's in Jefferson, Texas, excuse me. It's at the Carriage House Bed and Breakfast. And again, that's a 2-night stay. I've never been in Jefferson, Texas before.
Oh,
but
I got some Jefferson stories.
But I have talked to people, just like Winston, who have been to Jefferson, and they say it's very delightful. It's a very vibrant and a cool city to just hang out in. So you can be in on that drawing, and all you have to do is just make a contribution of $1. And I've been on since about 4 o'clock today. And when I'm on, I like to go into a matching hour. So our goal today was to reach $10,000. We maybe got to 10,200. So we can only go higher from here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how about I tell a Jefferson story? As
Okay.
long as we're talking about Jefferson. Now, I don't know if y'all tell ghost stories on Red River Radio very often.
Usually during the month of October for Snap Judgment.
I have a Jefferson piano ghost story.
Okay.
Let me add the music here. So one night, this is a true story. Okay, I was playing years ago at a place called Memories and More. I believe it's on Austin Street in downtown Jefferson, and they told me the building next door was on the ghost tour. So every night I'm sitting there playing the piano kind of in the window, and I would see the ghost tour go by. And, 20, 30 people, and they're talking about all the ghosts. Well, they would stop in front of the building next door and do the little spiel. So I could see, I'm playing the piano, watching the tour guide talk about all the ghosts in the building right next door, okay? And it shares a wall with the building I'm in. So one night, I'm sitting there at the piano, and at the time I had books, actual books, right? Like for my words. And I was leaning over, digging through that bag. So I'm sitting at the piano, I'm leaning over to my left, okay? And I hear, clear as day, and I don't know if you'll hear this on the radio, but I heard on the piano, like somebody trying to get my attention. So I shot up from digging through my bag to face whoever had knocked on the piano. and there's
There's no
nobody
one.
there. So, so I go, I'm thinking, did y'all hear? There's no customers nearby. There's no waitress, no or server. The manager's all the way at the back. So later that night, I said, Nancy, you ever had anything weird happen in this building, And she said, oh, yeah, that's just old. And I think she said his name was Charles or something like that. They had a name for their ghost, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Well,
said,
that's how you not get. That's how you don't get scared. Gotta
yeah,
give it a
right,
name.
okay. So I said, well, I think he knocked on my piano. Like, it wasn't a subtle knock. It was loud. So anyway, a little bit later, one of the servers tells me, she goes, you got to come upstairs. You're not going to believe what I found upstairs. So after I get done playing, we go up to this upstairs room where they've been doing construction, and there's sawdust all over the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And out kind of in the middle of the sawdust, where you couldn't, like, jump to this spot, a hand on a Bible was a human footprint, toes and everything. And I took a picture of it. I had a picture of it on my phone. Just in the middle of the sawdust was a human footprint. And anyway, there was no explanation for it. So that's my Jefferson ghost story.
Well, hey, if you're into ghosts and paranormal activity, you can also take a ghost tour if you win that.
Yeah, well, that's why you should
package.
definitely call right now.
Yeah.
Because Jefferson is a really cool historic town.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot of ghost stories. And if people don't know their Shreveport history, it's connected to Shreveport because of the steamboats that used to go all the way from here. Well, actually, from New Orleans to here to the port of Shreveport, and then up the bayou all the way to Jefferson. And at the time, you could take the steamboat all the way up there and disembark. We're talking like 1840s, maybe.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it's architecturally, it looks kind of like New Orleans. It looks like wrought iron and brick streets. Very cool little town, Jefferson, Texas, and I still play there.
That is
At the Nightlight Tavern.
very neat.
Yeah, so I would encourage people right now, $1, $5, $10, $1,000.
Hey, for $1,000 donation, you can host an hour of music.
That's
so
it.
That's cool.
But it'd be worth trying to enter that drawing because Jefferson's a really and hello, by the way, it's only about 50 minutes down the road. It's right down the road,
Yeah.
so it's not hard to get to.
1-800-552-8502. Support the programming you love, support the music you love, and just support 40 years, 4 decades of great music, great news, and great community engagement. What's next for us, Winston?
Let's see. We were talking about Ray Charles, and he does a version of this song. I'm going to sing Over the Rainbow, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Ray Charles does a beautiful version, and, like I said, he's one of my favorites. But it was voted as one of the, I want to say like the most famous or the most popular song of the 20th century. And if you listen to the words of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, you'll know why. Very beautiful lyrics.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue. Those dreams you dare to dream, I've seen those dreams come true. Someday I wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops, way above those chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Oh, somewhere over the rainbow, little bluebirds fly. They fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh, why can't I? I said somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and those dreams you dare to dream, I've seen those dreams come true. Someday I wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops, way above those chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Oh, somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. They fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I? Birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I?
You're listening to member-supported Red River Radio, and tonight, as you enjoy the soulful performance by Winston Hall, remember that each contribution you make helps us continue to bring the music, the news, and the conversations that matter right into your home or your car, or you could be at the gym right now. Your generosity helps nurture local talent, it strengthens community programs, and it ensures that the voice of the public, the voice of, we're the voice of the community, but your donation ensures that the voice of public media remains strong. So whether it's $5 or $10 or any amount that feels right for you, every dollar counts. And right now we're in a matching hour, so every dollar is doubled. So take a moment now to visit redriverradio.org, or you can call right now, 1-800-552-8502, to make your contribution. Your support means that we can keep sharing these moments, celebrating our community, and creating a better tomorrow through the power of music and media. Winston, how are you feeling right now?
You know what? I was telling you earlier that I might take a break on the hour, but I'm feeling pretty good. Let's just keep rolling if you want to.
Okay. Let's see. Are there any different genres you think you want to delve into in the future?
Well, I tell you what. The more music I play, especially when I'm exploring Shreveport's music history, I realize how much cross genre, what we call that, pollination. Like, I don't even know what the word for it is, but I'm learning that I like styles of music I didn't even know that I liked.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense at all?
It does. I recently found out there's like this genre that's like not dubstep, but it's like a subgenre of dubstep, and it's just in the EDM field, like probably I think it's called DMB, drum and bass.
Yes.
So just different things like that, or like there are different genres or subgenres of jazz that I've been into. I know one of our producers here, he isn't keen of smooth jazz, but I really like electronic jazz, like Herbie Hancock in the 70s. So things like that.
I don't rule anything out. And I say that now on a piano, there's certain styles that are hard to get away with when you're playing solo, or my friend Chris Allen that I play the bass with. We can recreate a lot of sounds, but there's some that you just kind of avoid because of it just doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
But when it comes to listening and gleaning from different genres, Oh, listen, let me tell you what's happened to me. I was at Mardi Gras, okay, and if you've ever been to a Mardi Gras in New Orleans,
Hmm.
and if you've ever been to those parades, they'll have moments where the parade stops for some reason. There's a pile, some reason they're not moving. And of all the things to get stuck right in front of us, it was a polka band. Now, when I told you earlier, I just turned 43. I've never in my life given polka any thought at all, except maybe a passing reference in a movie or something.
I don't think I know what polka music is.
Polka, we're talking, Wisconsin, Minnesota. It comes from Germany. We're talking saxophones. I want to say some accordions, squeeze boxes. Very much oompa, 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 oompa.
Okay, I'm getting
like picture at like Oktoberfest in Germany, and they're all wearing lederhosen, and drinking beer, and there's a band playing. That's the band. They're playing polka.
Okay, gotcha.
And as my friend Chuck said, they're 3 trumpets short of a Tejano band. It's a very eclectic mix of instruments and sounds. Anyway, I have never in my life listened to polka. And this polka float, it's a float with a polka band on it, stops in front of us because of the parade being stopped. And they're there for maybe, 6 or 8 minutes. And this beautiful polka band just kept playing. And they played the Beer Barrel Polka, which is a famous song. But ironically, they were rocking out. It was like rock and roll, but it was polka. And it was so much fun that we were sitting there dancing to the polka and I'm watching them live, and they're just really I'm so sad I can't remember the name of this band. The Brats, maybe, I want to say. The Brats, like bratwurst.
Yeah.
That sounds right. They had it on the side of their, I don't know where they're from. I hope they're listening, wherever they are tonight. But this is how pervasive it was. When we drove home, I listened to polka music on Spotify. I had to look up polka music. And I thought, that's just the beauty of music, was the universe contrived to get me literally 10 feet from a polka band. And they're not moving. So it's like, I have to listen to this polka band.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I realized, going back to the importance of live music, to hear a polka band on a radio or on a stereo, it's fun, but you're not getting that visceral human experience of the. And by the way, the band, the Brats, they were all in the costumes, like the polka. Costume is the word. Uniforms, outfits. I don't know. So there's this whole effect going on, right? Like they got the look, they got the sound, and by the way, they were having fun. And this is at the end of a 6-mile-long Mardi Gras parade. And I thought, if those people can have that much fun after 6 miles of polka, then they must really love playing polka. And so here I am, for the first time in my life, like taking a deep dive into polka. Now, I can't do polka on the piano, right? It's not, it's just not quite the same. Not quite.
It looks like it sounds like you're playing it to me.
Anyway, but that not to say is I can take a deep dive into polka, and I want to say Liberace used to do the Beer Barrel Polka on TV years ago. So, maybe I could work a polka song into the repertoire. I don't know, but the point being, to the question you asked me 10 minutes ago was, stylistically and musically, what am I looking at? And the polka came out of like right field. Like I would not have ever in my life looked twice at a polka band until I got the polka experience. And it was so pervasive, I was already trying to figure out where the best polka festival was.
Wow.
Like I want to be in the middle of wherever polka is happening, I'm going to be in the middle of it. That's how it happens. So anyway, there's always new stuff, right? Like it never ends.
You're listening to KDAQ, Shreveport, Bossier City, KLSA, Alexandria, Pineville, KBSA, El Dorado, Camden, Magnolia, KLDN, Lufkin, Nacogdoches, and KTYK, Overton, Tyler, Kilgore. We have Winston Hall in the Red River Radio Studios with us tonight, celebrating with us because we went over our goal today, which is so good, so great. Tomorrow we're gonna have another goal. Hopefully we can beat our goal every day, and then maybe we'll in the pledge drive a little early. But we can't do that without your help, without your support. We only want you to make a donation of support if you love this station, and we know that you do because you're listening right now. 1-800-552-8502. Go online, redriverradio.org, or make a contribution of support on our app. I have so many questions to ask Winston, but we're going to go back to the music.
Yeah, let's do another song. I'm going to sing. I can't think of a better song to sing, actually, than about the Red River. We're going to sing about the Red River. This is an old melody. I don't know how old this song is, but it's called Red River Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe an old cowboy tune. I don't know its origins, but I do kind of a Harry Connick version of it. So this is my rendition of Red River Valley.
Okay.
From this valley, they say, you are going. I will miss your bright eyes and sweet smile. They say you are taking the sunshine that has brightened my pathway a while. Come and sit by my side if you love me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu. Just remember that Red River Valley and that cowboy who loved you so true. For a long time, my darling, I have waited for those sweet words you never would say. Now at last all my fond hopes have vanished, for they say that you're going away. Come and sit by my side if you love me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu. Just remember that Red River Valley, that cowboy who loved you so true. It goes like this now. Come and sit by my side if you love me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu. Just remember that Red River Valley and that cowboy who loved you so true. Just remember that Red River Valley and that cowboy who loved you so true. All right, I've been taken down to New Orleans now. This is one of my other favorite artists that I try to emulate. Oh, I try to emulate, but it's hard to do. This is a song by Dr. John. Dr. John called Such a Night. Such a night, such a night, sweet confusion under the moonlight. Such a night, such a night, steal away because the time is right. Baby, your eyes caught mine at a glance. You let me know, good Lord, this was my chance. Now you came in with my best friend Jim, and now I'm trying to steer you away from him. Cause if I don't do it, somebody else will. 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 That's right. Such a night, such a night, steal away because the time is right. Oh, I couldn't believe my ears, man. My heart just skipped a beat when you told me you walked with me down Texas Street. Came here with my best friend Jim, and now I'm trying to steer you away from him. Cause if I don't do it, somebody else will. 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 Such a night, such a night.
You're listening to Red River Radio, and here at Red River Radio, we are committed to bringing you performances that move you, artists that inspire you, and programs that inform and connect us as a community. But none of this happens without you. Listener support is the heartbeat of public radio, literally. It's what keeps the music playing, the stories flowing, and the voices of local artists like Winston Hall reaching audiences near and far. So do your part. Make a contribution of support. 1-800-552-8502. Go online, redriverradio.org, or make a contribution of support on our app. Winston,
Yes.
for the listeners out there that want to kickstart their piano career right now, what advice would you give them?
Ooh, okay. I actually just had this conversation with a friend of mine who was really beginning his piano journey in his 30s. And then I actually had a piano student one time that was 76 years old.
Really?
And was really trying to learn piano. And so you use the word kickstart.
Yeah.
You know, I'm picturing like jumping a dead car battery, like shocking it into. I would tell people, and I know you do this. I've seen you do this. Like you walk by at a piano and you noodle a little, and I can tell you want to
Tickle the ivories.
tell you want to get a little better. And it's a real simple premise, but it works. Is you have to be passionate enough about it that every day you just kind of spend some time with the piano and make sure you're just a little bit further down the road than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
So I think there's this big misconception that you've got to learn the whole piece, and you put a lot of pressure on yourself to be better and play and get it all right. You really just need to be a little better today than you were yesterday. And I've found that people that are passionate about it, that take the time to sit down and peck away at the piano, I think it was Winston Churchill that said a day in the saddle is never wasted or something like that, because he loved to ride horses.
Yeah.
I would argue similarly that time spent at the piano is never wasted. So all those years that I took piano lessons, that I was struggling, I was still shaping and molding my brain. And so I would, the age doesn't matter, whether you're 5 years old or 85 years old. The question is, why are you doing it? And if you're doing it because you're passionate about it and you want to get better, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. So, and especially nowadays with YouTube and ways to get to music lessons without having to, I had to go to a piano teacher.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday for my entire childhood, which is a physical act, like getting in the car and riding there. But nowadays, if you have a keyboard, which they're relatively affordable, go to my friend James Penley at Penley Piano Gallery. He'll provide you a piano, but they're relatively affordable nowadays. So if you want to kickstart, again back to your word, you have to make the ability to play. You have to make the piano accessible, and that usually comes in the form of a keyboard or something small, and you put it right there where you'll trip over it every day. I always say the worst thing you can do with a guitar, if you're trying to learn to play guitar.
I leave it in the corner of my.
Yeah, well, the worst thing you can do is put it in the case, right?
Oh yeah.
Because you'll never
see it.
Right. So you got to the guitar or the keyboard, whatever you're working on, you got to put it out in the middle of your existence. I have a baby grand piano in my living room, and it affects the feng shui. Like the whole room revolves around the piano. But that's because even me, professional for 25 years, I have to sit down every now and then and work something out. So I would say just make the music accessible. And also, and this is kind of, abstract, but you have to believe that you can do it.
Yeah. I used to practice all the time, and then on the piano, because I only know how to play a couple chords on the guitar. I think I took maybe 3 guitar lessons, and then I just called it quits. But a friend of mine told me, well, there's a 5-year-old that's doing it a million times better than you, so you better start practicing now.
Oh, please. And those 5-year-olds are all on YouTube. you can look them up and get depressed real fast.
Oh, yeah.
But, it's that goes back to your question earlier about where I'm at in my career is you have to define the why. Like if the why is just, and it might be something simple. I've had people say, oh, I'm having a Christmas party and I just want to play one Christmas song at the Christmas party. Well, that's the why. That motivates you to sit down and work through it.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of define in your mind what the point is of what you're doing. And, most of us, 99.9% of us will not win Grammys or be on, be rock stars. But if your goal is just to get to the point where you can sit down and play through a song and be proud of it, then that's your why.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to be willing to sit down and do it every day. And like I said, just a little bit better than you were yesterday. That's all it takes.
Yeah. Speaking of, I want to talk about some of your accolades. What did it mean to you to be recognized as one of Northwest Louisiana's top piano entertainers?
I was. This is really funny. That's a good question. You sit in a corner. A lot of places you play as musicians, you're in a corner, right?
Yeah.
And you're just not sure who's paying attention. Or, they're hearing you, but they're not listening, right? Those are two very different things. And so when you get any kind of accolade, it's not the accolade itself.
Yeah.
That does nothing for you. It's an affirmation that people are paying attention to what you're doing, and I'll speak on behalf of every musician on planet Earth, is it feels good when people acknowledge what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And now I just had this conversation earlier today with my buddy Dan Garner, a very accomplished musician here in town.
I know Dan.
Yeah, and he's also a musician and a magician. He talked about the struggles of being an entertainer outside of the entertainment. And it's a real nuts and bolts kind of thing. Rob knows, it's moving equipment, and it's loading and unloading, and you're in a suit doing manual labor, and or you're getting dumped on by rain in the parking lot. I mean, there's 1,000 things around the scope of being a performing entertainer that most people don't see.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you get any kind of accolade, or even just literally somebody putting a tip in the tip jar that says, hey, thank you, it goes far beyond the music. It speaks to your entire life. Like, here's a tip for that song. I know you started piano lessons when you were 5. Thank you. It's like, it really makes you feel good. So it's not, we're all deep down inside, we're all just little kids, and we just need a pat on the back that says, hey, you're doing a good job. And so that's what any accolade I get means to me, is that somebody, they just notice, and that the noticing of what your hard work has means a lot.
Yeah. How has public media helped you reach a wider audience?
Okay, so I wanted to plug this. I'm glad you said that. One of my passions is the music history. Mm-hmm. Y'all know this. And what I connected with early on when I moved to Shreveport, remember earlier I said it represented hope in my life. A lot of the famous musicians that came here or became famous when they were here had similar stories. Hank Williams, he was quote-unquote old and washed up when he was 25 years old and came to Shreveport for the hayride. Elvis had been had been rejected from the Grand Ole Opry 2 weeks before he came here for the hayride. So a lot of musicians that showed up here were given second chances. And they had a chance to do what I'm doing right now, which is to get behind a microphone and be heard by a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And that has always been, for me, a great way to connect beyond the corner of the bar, so to speak. And one of the ways that we do that, and I have to plug this tonight because it's very important, is this program, Louisiana Haywire, which airs on Red River Radio. And it's hosted by my buddy Dan Garner and me, produced by Bené Summers. And we talk about the music history and supplement it with performances. And I have been pleasantly surprised at the feedback we've gotten because of this platform specifically. So we record the podcast, Louisiana Haywire. Mm-hmm. We record the videos. They're on YouTube. But they air initially on Red River Radio. And we've already done 2 seasons, and we're gearing up for a 3rd season. And the public media and the ability to get up on this soapbox, so to speak, and talk and put our message out there is a really powerful tool. And so public radio is the voice of the community.
Yeah.
And we shopped around a lot of places where we thought we could do our program, Louisiana Haywire, and Red River Radio was one of the first ones that said, yes, let's do it. They recognized the importance of speaking to the community, its culture, its music, its history. And so I found a lot of overlap because I'll perform music and they'll say, hey, don't you have that show, Haywire? I said, yeah, we do. Mm-hmm. And then we'll do Louisiana Haywire and they say, hey, don't you play music? So there's a cool overlapping of these efforts. And even with social media, you're not going to find this type of platform for these types of things. It's really targeted. And moreover, people know when they go to 89.9, they know what they're getting.
Yeah. And
they have a certain expectation of the quality and depth of this programming. Mm-hmm. And so that's why people should donate some dollars to promote this, to support this station. It's very, very important for people like me and many others that have a passion for this music and the storytelling. You're not going to find any other format better than public radio. So please call in.
Yeah, 1-800-552-8502. Go online, redriverradio.org. Make a contribution of support on our app. Winston, what's next for us?
Well, we were just talking about the music history, so I'm going to do a little Hank Williams, okay? And what I've done stylistically, I don't look or sound like Hank, so I'm taking one of his songs and giving it the old Harry Connick treatment. No, we're giving it the Winston Hall treatment. That's what we're doing. So this is my version of a jambalaya and a crawfish pie.
Okay.
Goodbye, Joe. Me gotta go. Me, oh my. Me gotta go pull that pirogue down the bayou. By Yvonne, sweetest one. Me, oh my. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. Jambalaya, crawfish pie, and filet gumbo. Tonight I'm gonna sing my share of meal. Big guitar, fill food jars, and big gale. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. Thibodeau, West Monroe, this place is a buzzing. Kinfolk come to see Yvonne now by the dozen. Dress in style, go hog wild, me oh my. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. Yeah. Jambalaya, crawfish pie, and a filet gumbo. Tonight I'm gonna see my share of meal. Big guitar, fill fruit jars, and big gale. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. Here we go. Goodbye, Joe. Me gotta go. Me oh my. Me gotta go pull that pirogue down the bayou. My Yvonne, sweetest one. Me oh my. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. Yeah. Jambalaya, crawfish pie, and a filet gumbo. Tonight I'm gonna see my share of meal. Big guitar, fill food jars, and big gale. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. One more time, y'all. Oh, jambalaya, crawfish pie, and a filet gumbo. Tonight I'm gonna see my share of meal. Big guitar, fill fruit jars, and big gale. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. Yeah. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou. Son of a gun, we're gonna have big fun on the bayou.
You're listening to member-supported Red River Radio. I'm here with Winston Hall in the Red River Radio studio for about 33 more minutes, so make your contribution of support now. Call in 1-800-552-8502. Make a contribution of support on our app, redriverradio.org, or make a contribution on our app, Red River Radio, or you can do it the old-fashioned way and go online to redriverradio.org. Winston, how did your time at Angelo State University influence your musical journey?
Oh, man. Well, first of all, I will give 100 bonus points to anybody who knows Angelo State University. It's a small school out in West Texas, and I went there because they gave me a full scholarship.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. And they said, we'd like for you to come here and we'll pay for it. And I said, I will see you there. So I went to Angelo State and was heavily involved in their music programs. I actually studied journalism. But the music was at a time when I was first playing piano professionally, as I mentioned earlier, 18, 19 years old, didn't know what I was doing. And I got invited, I was in the marching band. This is my life at the time. I was playing bass drum in the marching band, if you can imagine. And I had a percussion instructor, Dr. Douglas Overmeyer. I don't know where he is right now. But he invited me to join what was called a jazz percussion group. And if the thing is, the piano is a percussion instrument, right? Because you're striking it. So like a drum. And so I had taken my percussion background, was rhythmically learning some things on the piano, and he asked me to join this jazz percussion group, and they had vibraphones, which is kind of like a xylophone, but it's jazzier, marimbas, which is kind of a tropical sounding instrument made of wood, a drum set, and a bass guitar, and then some other percussion toys. You can look up jazz percussion groups on YouTube. It's a really unique sound. And Dr. Overmeyer invited me to join that group. And I said, I don't think I am qualified. I could barely read music, you know. And he said, just join. And I we'll get through it. And so what happened was, when you asked earlier about mentors, I could have mentioned Dr. Overmeyer. He was very knowledgeable, but demanding instructor. And so there was room for mistakes, but within that space, there were expectations, right? So you can mess up a melody line, but you need to know the chart or whatever. And so I was in that group and got to really delve into jazz improvisation and getting multiple takes at a solo. Do the same form 12 times in a row and do a little different every time. And so I was really exposed to a jazz world that I had not really been a part of. So most of my piano experience up to that point was very formulated, like real kind of blocky, just kind of not, no improvisation, really. And so at Angelo State was where I first started learning to improv. And so, but I was doing it on a vibraphone with mallets, right?
Yeah.
2 or 4 mallets. Excuse me. And I took some of that improvisational things that I learned and was able to take them to the piano. And so pretty soon I'm sitting at the piano playing. Kind of just having some fun with it.
Yeah.
And so I was very grateful for that time. And I was not a music major, so it was really all just kind of extra outside of my curriculum that I was taking. But I have not forgotten that influence. And to this day, I don't own a vibraphone, but it just hit me just now. Y'all could have a vibraphone right here in the studio. You got plenty of room for a vibraphone. And I would come play it if you did. So we'll have to look into that.
Did your encounter with Taylor Swift early in her career impact your career at all?
Oh, this is such a funny story. Before I tell that, though, real quick, I want to shout out to my buddy Daniel Scott. I just got a text. He's listening.
Okay.
And he just did his graduate, I'm going to say concert from yesterday. No, what day was that? A couple days ago. But he's a friend of mine that I met when he was a teenager, and so it's fun to watch his career progress. So shout out to Daniel, listening right now online, and he's watching the stream. Yeah. So thank you, Daniel, for listening. So Taylor Swift. Okay. So this is a funny story. Remember earlier I told you I moved to Nashville.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of loose connections with people, no deep, profound friendships because I just moved there. But my neighbor, of all people, lived about 3 houses down. Her name was Pepper. Shout out to Pepper, who still lives in Nashville. And Pepper worked for a record label that was the sister label to Taylor Swift's record label.
Okay.
But at the time that I lived there, which was the end of 2006, Taylor Swift was an absolute nobody. And she had just signed her record deal. So I got invited to this party by Pepper. And she said, it'd be a great place for you to meet people, So we go to it was the after party of the CMA Awards.
Mm-hmm.
And my eyes, I'm sure, were this big around because I'd never been to a party like that. It was red carpets, and my name was on a list and all this stuff. And it was a small room. And, I recognized some of the people, but it was a lot of industry people, people I didn't know. And I really was a fish out of water. And then, of course, I see standing there this 16-year-old, and somebody said, blonde hair. I said, she's an artist. I just signed her. And I remember, I'll never forget this. I talked to her for, 5 or 10 minutes. And she was really nice, and she was really sweet. And I remember thinking as I walked away, I honestly thought this. But she said, hi, my name's Taylor, okay. I remember thinking, this town is going to eat that girl alive. Poor thing. You know, she's going to get chewed up and spit out by this industry, just like every other. Because I didn't know you could sign a record deal and still fail miserably, right? That's actually a thing that happens.
Yeah.
Everybody outside of that world thinks, oh, you sign a record deal, you're set for life. No, you could sign a record deal and get forgotten. So at that time, Taylor Swift was just another artist who had signed a record deal, and I remember thinking she was going to get eaten alive, right? And that was the one time I talked to her. And then a year later, I was watching the CMA Awards at my house, and there's that girl on TV. And she was singing the song Tim McGraw to Tim McGraw. And I said, oh, my gosh. I said, that's the girl from the party. I said, she's good for her, you know.
Yeah.
And then I just watched this meteoric rise over the last, you know, what was it, 20 years. And what's interesting is, you know, you don't want to be that person that keeps telling that story. But I remember what I got from that story outside of it being Taylor Swift was you don't ever estimate or underestimate what you think someone else could do with their career.
Yeah.
If I had been a gambler or that moment when I met her, she was tiny, scrawny, quiet, I would have bet $100 on that she was going to fail. And to her everlasting credit, man, that girl, she took it to the stratosphere. Now, it takes a certain alignment of stars for that to happen. But I have learned because of that one encounter, you never dismiss anybody and their dreams. The song that I just sang a while ago, Over the Rainbow, my favorite line in that song is somewhere over the rainbow, the dreams you dare to dream really do come true.
Yeah.
What a powerful line that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
The dreams that you dare to dream. And so, man, when I think about Taylor Swift, 16-year-old Taylor Swift, she had that in her heart that she was going to really do something with her career. And goofy old me at that party just second-guessed her in my spirit the whole time. And if I ever meet her again, which I doubt I will, but if I ever cross paths with her again, I will look her in the eyeball and I'm going to apologize and say I was 1,000,000,000% wrong for judging you and your potential and your career. I learned that. So nowadays, there's an old showbiz adage that says you got to be nice on the way up because you'll see the same people on the way down.
Yeah.
And so I've, not that I'm going anywhere spectacular, but I always try to give young artists the seriousness they deserve about what they're doing. And actually, my friend Daniel's a good example. That Daniel that's listening, when I met him, he was a high schooler. He was at a jazz camp that Chris Allen and I put on right here at LSUS. And Daniel, and I know he's listening. Daniel, we're so proud of you, but he's taken his career and nurtured it, and he's grown, and he's done some amazing things already. He played at the Apollo with his brother in New York City. Like he's already done that. So it's fun to watch him grow and become more of who he's meant to be. Mm-hmm. And every young artist, and this is what I would say to people that are learning or anyone that dares to get up and perform, is you're already ahead of most people because most people won't have the courage to perform in public. And so anytime I walk into a bar or a restaurant and there's somebody singing or performing, I go straight to that tip jar. And I say, hey, kudos to you for being here because you might be the next Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
You don't ever know.
Yeah. Has public media coverage influenced your audience reach in any way?
Actually, I have a fun story about that. Years ago, Chris Allen and I played this show and connected with a guy named Bert, a dear friend Bert, and his wife Jan. And Bert showed up at Two John's Steak and Seafood right after he heard us on the radio first. And then Bert was one of our most avid supporters until he passed away. For maybe 9 or 10 years, he would always come out to hear us play. And we actually became very dear friends. We went to his house and forged a very cool relationship with Bert and his wife because of this radio program. So you don't ever know. And then much like other things, you don't know who's listening. So it's fun when people come out after the fact to say, I heard you on the radio.
Yeah. 1-800-552-8502. That's the number that you can call to make your contribution of support. We have Winston Hall in the Red River Radio studios, and we just want to hear from you. So make that contribution of support, grab a cool premium, get in on our drawings that we have during the drive, and overall just help keep Red River Radio on air. What's next for us, Winston?
I'm going to do one of my, it's a often requested song. Randy Newman, I believe, wrote it, and others have performed it, but it's a song simply called Louisiana 1927. What has happened down here? Lord, the wind has changed. Clouds rolled in from the north and it starts to rain. And it rained real hard and rained for a real long time. There's 6 feet of water in the streets of Evangeline. The river rolls all day, the river rolls all night. Some people got lost in the flood, and some got away alright. The river busted through, cleared down to Plaquemine. Now there's 6 feet of water in the streets of Evangeline. Louisiana, Louisiana, they're trying to wash us away. They're trying to wash us away. Louisiana, Louisiana, they're trying to wash us away. They're trying to wash us away. President Coolidge came down in a railroad train. A little fat man with a notepad in his hand. The president said, "Fat man, Lord, ain't it a shame, ain't it a shame? The river's done to this poor cracker's land. Louisiana, Louisiana, they're trying to wash us away. They're trying to wash us away. Louisiana, Louisiana, they're trying to wash us away. They're trying to wash us away. Louisiana, Louisiana, they're trying to wash us away. They're trying to wash us away. Louisiana, Louisiana, they're trying to wash us away. They're trying to wash us away.
Winston Hall in the Red River Radio studios with us tonight, and we're in our spring fun drive here at Red River Radio. It's the second day, and when you make your contribution of support, you get in on our drawings that we have to offer. You get some cool premiums, but most importantly, you keep Red River Radio on air. If the news that you listen to every morning, you think that it's vital, the music you hear at night, the jazz, the local artists that we bring in, you love that, call in, let us know. 8502. Go online, redriverradio.org, or make that contribution of support on our app. Winston, how has living in Shreveport influenced your music?
Ooh. So here's what's really fun about Shreveport and its music is, I was born and raised in Texas. We've covered that. And I moved to Louisiana, sight unseen, and was kind of amazed at the difference between North Louisiana and South Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
And musically, real quick, I picked up on the musical, I want to say gumbo, but really it's the mix of genres here. Like you got the Delta blues of Mississippi, you got the country music of East Texas, and then you've got soul, and all this music comes together in Shreveport. Oh, and by the way, the boogie woogie that came out of the deep the woods of East Texas, out of Marshall, and a really, really interesting amalgamation, if that's the word, a mix of music here that is distinctly different than South Louisiana. And I don't even know if there's a word. We haven't, maybe somebody could think of a word that has been coined to describe the music here. I don't know of one. But people come up with all these funny buzzwords, like funky this and whatever that. But there is a distinct mix of music. And you'll see when you go to see a band perform, and we do this, it's not crazy to go to switch genres quickly, you hear country music and blues, and then somebody will go right into some funk music or whatever. And I'm kind of really just a fan of this region of music. I spent time in Nashville, I spent time in West Texas, and the music here, it kind of comes up out of the swamp, so to speak, and it's really fun, and I'm constantly surprised by the styles I hear and the way the styles are done. And sometimes that involves instrumentation, like you'll see different instruments together on stage that you didn't expect to see on stage, and that's kind of that's a Shreveport style. It's we're all in this together. We're a bunch of misfits, and musically. Nobody really knows quite where to land, and so we just play whatever we want.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty unique style. And by the way, I know this because you'll see it reflected about outside musicians that pass through. I was once one of those people. But you'll see touring bands and groups come through that'll say, man, there's really some cool music going on here. And they say, keep Austin weird. I'm like, forget Austin. Austin's a lost cause. I say, keep Shreveport weird.
Oh, yeah.
That's my motto.
And how do you think public media can help preserve local culture and music?
Oh, this is easy. On our show, Louisiana Haywire, that we do, we sat in this very room and interviewed Estelle Brown, who lives in Shreveport, and she was a backup singer for Elvis Presley.
I remember that episode.
When she was with Sweet Inspirations, and they were with Elvis in Las Vegas. And she lives here. She lives in Shreveport. And so we were able to record and archive her story forever through public radio and through this medium. And she mentioned in that interview, by the way, almost as if it was a total afterthought, she said, oh, yeah, I recorded some stuff with Van Morrison. Well, what'd you do? She said, remember Brown Eyed Girl? We're like, well, yeah, we all know Brown Eyed Girl. She said, I was one of the sha-la-la girls in the background. Sha-la-la-la-la-la.
Wow.
And I thought, that woman walks around Shreveport, and nobody knows she's one of the sha-la-la girls, a brown-eyed girl. Yeah. Now, is that trivial in the scope of her career? Maybe a little bit. But she was a contemporary of Elvis Presley. And not to mention, her band, the Sweet Inspirations, they had their own chart singles. And so that's some living history. And so I was just totally honored to sit down with her and preserve that story. But not just preserve it, we shared it with everybody in the Red River Radio Network. And it's saved and archived forever. So there's some really important work being done here. It's very important because when you archive people's stories, you are preserving the culture. And with each generation that passes, there's a distance from that story, right? So we do it through the music, through the interviews, through the programming. It's just so critically important. And you're not getting that with your traditional radio stations nowadays. They're playing, not to get into the weeds too much, but when you are the hometown station,
Yeah.
and you have the keys to the building, so to speak, and you pick the programming, and you can target what you know your people want to hear, it's such a critical role in the community. So when we ask people to call in and donate $1 or $2 or 10 or whatever, it's not just to keep the lights on. It's to preserve the culture and the story of your community. It's very, very, very important, and I'm honored to be a part of it. That's why I come here every pledge drive, because I want to help contribute to the preservation of this voice in our community.
Yeah. And what message would you like to convey to listeners about contributing to public media? If someone listening right now has never made a contribution before because they feel like they don't need to, what would you say to make them think otherwise?
Oh, that's easy. That's really easy. We live in an age where you get nickel and dime to death through your little subscriptions, right? You got this subscription and that subscription, and it's very transactional. I give you money, you give me this. I give you money, you give me this. Public radio, Red River Radio, is a really unique circumstance where you can send us $5 and it really makes a difference. It really makes a difference. The stories, and I circle always back to the music history because that's my passion, because Shreveport's musical story is so incredible.
Mm-hmm.
If 1,000 or 10,000 people give $5, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it goes a long way to further this cause. So in other words, everywhere else in your life, when you hand over $5, it's forgettable, or it's so you can watch something you want to see. When you give $5, or let's get nuts, you give $10 to Red River Radio, you are promoting your community. You are lifting your community up, and you're giving your community a voice. And so my pitch to anyone listening is, when else does $5 or $10 from your pocket have that dramatic of an effect on the people in your community? Like, it doesn't, there's some causes that are worthwhile for sure. I'm not saying there's not. But if you're going to give $5 or $10 to something over here worthwhile, you can do it for Red River Radio too. And it goes a long way. On our side, on this end, we can help talk about our history and our culture and our programs. And by the way, it's not always stuff in the past. I've heard some really fantastic discussions on this station about things going on right now in this community. So it's a public forum that needs to be lifted up, and it needs to persist. And that's what listeners help make happen with $5 or $10.
Yeah. So call in and donate, 1-800-552-8502. Go online, redriverradio.org, or make that contribution of support on our app. Let us know you listen, and let us know that you care. Winston, what's next for us?
Well, I'm looking at the clock. We have time for maybe 2 more songs?
Yeah.
Maybe 2 more? Every time I come here and do this with y'all, I think about the magic of radio.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about Shreveport, Louisiana was the epicenter of the musical universe in the 1950s because of Louisiana Hayride.
Mm-hmm.
And all it was people getting on the radio and singing songs, but it just had a magical way about it. And so I don't take for granted the ability to sit here. And so I'm grateful that I was able tonight to sit down and sing a song for you and sing a song for everybody out there. So I'm going to cover Leon Russell's song, A Song for You, right now.
Okay.
I've been so many places in my life and time. I've sung a lot of songs, I've made some bad rhymes. I've acted out my life in stages with 10,000 people watching me. Still will own and I'm just singing my song for you. I know your image of me is what I hope to be. I treated you unkindly, darling, can't you see? There's no one more important to me. Babe, please can't you see through me, Still alone now and I'm just singing my song for you. You taught me precious secrets, the truth withholding nothing back. You came out in front and I was hiding, but now I'm so much better. My words don't come together, baby. Listen to the melody, 'cause my love's in there hiding. I love you in a place where there's no space or time. I love you for my life, you're a friend of mine. When my life is over, remember when we were together, baby. Still alone now and I'm just singing my song for you. Yeah, we're alone now, I'm singing my song just for you. All right, this last tune I'm going to do tonight, this is an original tune, okay? And I noticed that when it was time to clean up the bar and get out of Dodge, I needed a song to sing. So I wrote this song, and Mr. Chris Allen helped me. It goes like this. Turn up the lights, play one last song, pay your tab, and move along. Call your baby telephone when the music says goodnight. We've played all night, had so much fun, but the good Lord knows our work is done. It's time to pack up and head back home. When the music says goodnight. Now listen, we can go downtown where those lights are bright and dance the night away. We could just go home, turn those lights all on, make love break of day. Go downtown where those lights are bright, dance the night away. We could just go home, turn those lights all on, and make love till the break of day. Turn up the lights, play one last song, pay your tab and move along. Call your baby, head back home. When the music says goodnight, just one more time. I said turn up those lights, play one last song, Pay your tab and move along. Call your baby and head back home when the music says good night.
You're listening to member-supported Red River Radio. We just had Winston Hall in the studios with us for the past 2 hours. Thank you so much, Winston.
Thanks for having me. This was awesome.
Coming. And what final message would you like to leave with listeners about why supporting local arts and public media is so vital?
Oh, man. I know I only have 30 seconds, but I'll give you the elevator pitch. Is music and arts are so important. They are the tapestry of life. They make everything beautiful, brighter, and more meaningful. And anytime you can support arts, live music, entertainment, you're making the world a better place, truly.
Yeah. So again, thank you so much for coming out tonight and spending, just spending your own time here at the station with us.
Glad to be here.
Our phone polls are now closed, but you can still make that contribution of support if you'd like to on our app, Red River Radio. And you can also make that contribution of support online at redriverradio.org. This is the voice of the community, member-supported and commercial-free Red River Radio, a public media service of LSU in Shreveport. At 89.9 FM, this is KDAQ Shreveport Bossier City, 90.7 FM KLSA Alexandria Pineville, 90.9 FM KBSA El Dorado Camden Magnolia, 88.9 FM KLDN Lufkin Nacogdoches, and 100.7 FM KTYK Overton Tyler Kilgore. We also broadcast on translator K214CE in Grambling, Louisiana. Our polls will open back up tomorrow at 7 a.m. So if you'd like to make a contribution then and call in, you sure can. Up next, we have D. Alexander from the Jazz Network to end us out the night. But first, this news.